Oh, he's still there. Oh. He held on to that for so long and just kind of moved with me pulling him. Welcome back, everybody. So it is well documented that I love to throw soft plastic molded swim baits when the water gets cold, you know, whether that be spring or fall. Typically those are my dark sleepers, which I love and catch fish like no other. The one problem I've always had with the dark sleepers is that, you know, the eyes, they typically come off after a fish or two. If you have a bunch of fish that are short striking, they'll grab the tail and it's pretty easy to rip off. So they are super soft, which kind of is why they get bit so well. But again, not the most durable. So I had a lot of recommendations on videos last year to try the Z-Man Gobius. Z-Man has always been known for super durable baits with their Elastec and everything else like that. It almost never rips. So we're going to go ahead and try those out today. I wanted to last year, but it got a little bit too late in the year to go ahead and try that stuff. So we're going to go ahead and try today to see if it catches fish as well as the dark sleeper and if it's as durable as it should be. I don't know who I bought this from last year online, but they sent me an absolutely jacked up package. Like, it's all taped and stapled back together, so hopefully there isn't anything wrong with the bait, but we'll tie this on, chuck it out, and see if we can't get into a couple. It is very cold today. I think it's just a couple degrees above freezing. Again, spring in Wisconsin is pretty normal, so we're going to see if we can't get into a couple fish. The other day we had like 4-ish or something like that, so hopefully it gives us some sort of comparison. We catch about the same amount of fish, maybe more with this guy. Let's get after it. All right, let's see what the action's like. All right, on a straight retrieve, pretty solid tail kick. And I don't know how well you can see that, but even just bouncing it inches on the bottom, you have some tail kick too. So that's great. Very optimistic for right now. Last year we had tried the Temu version of a dark sleeper, and it didn't matter how quickly you reeled that thing. It didn't matter. Like, there was no action to it at all. So great initial look for this thing. I don't know how well you can see that, but it looks pretty similar to a dark sleeper, to be honest. So let's go ahead and start chucking out and see if we can't get into a couple. We got one. I don't know, there's so much wind. Oh, yep, definitely got one. Got him. First bite. Took a little bit. There we go. Took a little bit. I think real feel out here right now. Got him around the corner. I think real feel out here is like mid-20s right now, because it's only like 34, 36 degrees and pretty windy. But that was our first bite. See if we can't replicate that a little bit more before the sun goes down. There's one. Still got it. Yep, he's got it. Got him. There we go. Ski him on in. Little guy. Right in the corner again. If you had any question as to how cold it was out here, all of these reeds have just been building up ice since I got here. But go ahead and let this guy go. Little chunky guy. Yeah, it's crazy how cold it is out here. And just the other day when we were fishing with the dark sleeper, it was like mid-50s. It was rainy and windy, but dropping almost 20 degrees in a day and a half is pretty wild. Well, sun's about to go down. Let's see if we can't get another one. I think we got one. Yep, we do. Got him. Oh, little guy. Right next. Oh, we lost him. He was right next to shore. Got an eye that's frozen. Well, the eyes are starting to freeze on the rod, so we're done for today. With the absolutely awful temperature drop in the past couple of days, I didn't really expect much, and we had, what, 3 bites, which was very similar to what we did the day before. So, in all honesty, I don't think we did too bad today, but we will come out here when it's a couple degrees warmer than freezing and give this guy another shot. Welcome back, everybody. It is a couple days later and much nicer weather. It's still windy, but way warmer. As you can tell by those pasty legs down there, we are like 25 degrees almost warmer than we were just 2 days ago. So hopefully we end up with some fish. I would most certainly hope so. We caught some fish when it was insanely cold, barely above freezing. I don't see why we wouldn't catch some right now. So let's put this Gobius back to the test and hopefully end up with a few more fish. Got one. Got him. Right next to shore. We had a couple fish that short striked it. So I figured, why not go ahead and slow roll it off the bottom, because they weren't hanging on to it nearly as long. There we got one. Could have been a little bit more graceful with that, but we might end up having to do what we've done previously and slow roll this guy on the bottom. Because the yo-yo, I've gotten 3 bites already, but again, they are such short little strikes, they don't hold on to it for anything at all to go ahead and actually be able to set a hook. So we might just be switching up our retrieve today. There's one. Oh, I missed him. Oh, there's a bunch of rock here too, but oh, there's one. Oh, missed him. There's one. Got him. Here we go. That's not a bad one. For here, at least. There we go. Finally. I've been... it's about the same as the rest. Looked a little bit longer. I've been throwing this thing and yo-yoing it up and down this pond, and we got 2 bites initially and have not had anything since. So I've been starting to slow roll it on the bottom and had 3 bites almost back to back to back. It's just so wild how much fish want a certain type of retrieve. Just a couple days ago, it was all yo-yo. And then today, it seems like just the slow roll. Definitely have to be open to options about like changing those retrieves. Potentially even days apart. But let's see if we can't catch a few more. That's 2 on the slow retrieve. Just crawling it. Incredibly slow on the bottom. Got another one, I think. Let go. Oh, he's got it. Got him. Another one on the slow roll, and he munched it. The smallest one. Oh gosh, that's. Oh, I was supposed to say we might have the pliers. He's so small. Look at that little guy eating not a big bait, but I mean big bait for him. Holy cow! Got one. Yep. I think. Drop it. I dropped it. Nope, he's still there. No. He held on to that for so long and just kind of moved with me pulling him. That, or he dropped it and came back to pick it up a little bit later. There we go. right in the corner. We didn't even have them hardly pegged. Just kind of held them on by pressure. All right. That might be our last one. Let's see if we can't get one more. Again, just absolutely slow rolling this thing the whole way. Every fish we've caught today has been this retrieve. All right, that's it for today. Let's get back home and talk about the Gobius. Well, we made it back from the lake. I've got out right now the 3 of the pre-molded swim baits that I use the most. Obviously, for the past couple days, I've used the Gobius. It's the first time I've ever used these, but previously I've always used the Agent E and the Dark Sleeper. In all honesty, I think it kind of boils down to which you use as to like personal preference and what you want in a pre-molded swim bait. For the Gobius, obviously you have that Elastec. That's what Z-Man's known for, that durability. The eyes on this thing are still on, which is something that, you know, typically fall off with the Agent E or the Dark Sleeper. So yeah, durability is always going to be like a really, really strong point for anything Z-Man. One thing I did notice with the Gobius is that it's got a little bit smaller of a tail than either of the other two. What that's going to mean is when you're casting that bait out and letting it free fall, it's going to fall a little bit faster than the other two just because there's not as much resistance on the way down. That being said, it should, in theory, give you a little bit more subtle of a presentation when you're reeling that bait in. That could be wonderful in your cold water applications, almost similar to like a flat-sided crankbait. And today, that is the presentation that those fish wanted, and that was the only thing. They didn't want a yo-yo technique or anything else like that. They just wanted that slow crawl on the bottom, and a little bit of more subtle of a presentation might have gotten us those bites. So that is that. Again, the durability is what you expect from Z-Man, and that's what you get. As far as the Agent E, I like these a lot too. They've done really well for me. They've got a little bit bigger of the tail, that, like I said, than the Gobius. My only thing that I'm not always a huge fan of for the Agent E is this fluoro brush guard. I've had probably more missed bites on the Agent E than anything else. Obviously, it's going to protect you from getting hung up in some stuff, so it might be better in some areas that, you know, you have more brush, more vegetation, that sort of thing. But I have missed more fish on this, and cutting off this fluoro brush guard has gotten me more of those hookups. So this might be something that you use a little bit more often in certain situations when, you know, the other two might get hung up a little bit more. And then lastly, this is the one that I always have started with. This is the first pre-molded swim bait that I ever threw, the Dark Sleeper. Obviously, people love it. It works super well. The one thing that, obviously, with a lot of your Japanese baits, they don't do the greatest in durability, and this is no exception. I've had the eyes typically fall off for me after a few fish. You know, 2 or 3. If I still have an eye, it's lucky, you know, but that is just part of it. In all honesty, it doesn't seem to change how the fish bite it, so I guess that's always a positive. But obviously, you know, when you're spending a fair amount of money on a bait, you would hope it would stay together a little bit longer. I've also had the most number of fish rip off the tails off of a Dark Sleeper compared to the other two. So, but again, the softness of these plastics and everything else like that might be what gets you a little bit more of a bite. And again, this one does have a tiny bit bigger of a tail. I don't know how well you can see that, than the Gobius. So it's going to have a little bit slower fall. And it's going to have a little bit more vibration when it's swimming. So might be something that you use in a little bit more of potentially warmer situations for water temps, or, you know, more aggressive fish. But in all honesty, I think it's just personal preference. And I will continue to use all 3 of these. I do like the fact that the durability with the Gobius is definitely there, and you don't have to worry about potentially every single trip you go out having to replace a Dark Sleeper. But That's about all I got for that. If you guys have a preference as far as which, one of these three, or I guess a different pre-molded swim bait is out there, what's your favorite? By all means, drop that in the comment section below. Let me know how you guys retrieve these things. It's been such a weird thing for me to experience on the same lake with basically the same fish, how they react so much differently to a retrieve one day from another. It's kind of amazing, and honestly, it's kind of fun to know that it can matter so much, and you can do just tiny little things differently, and your day go from being awful and getting skunked to having a phenomenal day and catching a bunch of fish. But by all means, drop that in the comment section below. And as always, if you guys like the video, if you wouldn't mind liking, and if you want to see more videos like it, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that'd be greatly appreciated also. Till the next one.